I must say, The Roses was phenomenal. It felt so relatable in some instances not relatable at all, obviously. I've never been married, never had my own house or things like that I'd have to give up if I was ever in a divorce. But man, The Roses was so good. And I had no idea it was directed by Mr. J. Roach, who is actually the director of the Austin Powers movies, the Meet the Parents films. He even did Dinner for Schmucks as of, some of his later work. Freaking awesome. And he's produced a bunch of other great movies, including Borat. So, I mean, this guy knows comedy, and it was a very, very funny movie. Right? But the movie is apparently a remake from this movie called War of the Roses, right? That follows this family, the Roses. Theo and Ivy Rose. I mean, you got to say Theo chose Ivy pretty well considering she's a straight flower. Played by Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. And they're just awesome, right? They're this couple that was in love. They had everything. They had children, beautiful home. Theo was an architectural designer, and Ivy she had a dream of being a great chef because she was a great cook that made delicious food, but it was mainly only for the family, of course. And the day that Theo ends up losing his job, right? He ends up trying to make this building for this museum where they live, and apparently this random thunderstorm hits and just destroys the building. So they end up firing him because he should have known, and it should have been able to sustain any weather. So it's pretty unfortunate, pretty horrible. And then meanwhile, Ivy ends up having people, because of that storm, come into her restaurant. He ends up helping her start her own restaurant called We Got Crabs. Hilarious, awesome name for a seafood restaurant, beachside sea restaurant. And, she ends up becoming an overnight sensation because everyone absolutely loves her food, and they've never had that many customers. They're only a small little spot by the sea, and now they had hundreds of customers that all reviewed their food and put their food out there, and now she ends up becoming somewhat of a world-renowned chef because she ends up, following her dream. So as both of their dreams ascend and descend, Theo ends up having to go through not working, being unemployed, having to stay at home with the kids, helping out with things around the house, where Ivy is now the breadwinner, going out, making all this money, traveling the world, opening up new restaurants. I mean, it's awesome. Like, you're so happy for her. But they're both natural assholes in general to each other and in general as people. So it just doesn't go well for them. Theo is just always attacking Ivy. Ivy is always subtly, feeling bad and attacking him back. But I would say that, Ivy actually really does care for Theo, but Theo is more of the asshole, just where he's stuck inside of his own head in need of this validation and this masculine way of being the, breadwinner for his family, that now that he's not, he is just grappling with the fact that he just is unemployed and he probably can't get a job in what he loved doing. And now he resents Ivy for being able to do what she's doing. The supporting cast was great. You had Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon as some of their best friends that are just trying to help them through. Like, hey, you sometimes you're with people because you love them and they may drive you crazy, but you got to still stick by them, and their Ivy's coworkers are pretty hilarious, Jane and Jeffrey. And I gotta say, Jeffrey is played by Nkuti Gatwa, and I'm just so glad he's in shit like this. I'd rather see him in these roles than playing Doctor Who, because he completely ruined that show in the end there. So it's so unfortunate, but it was good seeing him in this because he totally fit the role of like just a gay or flamboyant. Well, he's definitely gay. They threw jokes at him, but he was the gay server, and it just made so much more sense. But anyway, yeah, it was a great movie. The supporting cast really lended to making you feel for both characters and then hating both characters, and just in the end, they did love each other and they did want to be with each other, but they went through hell and high water to actually realize that, we actually are good for each other and we do love each other and we want to make this work, and both of us care about our dreams and each other enough to where we can just get through anything. And it just shows, that can happen. Like, people fall in love, fall out of love, they get married, they get divorces, things happen. But at the end of the day, if you really want to fix things, you can always fix things, and you can always bring a relationship out of the ashes and back into the unknown, or pull it out of the unknown and throw it into something more preserved and ready and steady and steadfast or whatever. But The Roses was just a fun, movie, just showing how people can fall so far out of love or have actual hate for each other, but then realize that hate is misplaced, and a lot of the fears and insecurities you have are your own, and your partner has no control over that. You really are the ultimate one. You're ultimately the one that does. So I liked it. I thought it was genuinely fun. I didn't even shed any tears. I thought it was going to be emotional at some points even, maybe, but you do feel bad for Ivy, I think, the most. Whereas Theo, yeah, he loses his job, but it is kind of his fault because he's just tries to make everything so prestigious and so out of the box, fantastical that he creates building wise. And it's just like, sometimes, you can't always make what you want to make like that. But yeah, it's a great, wild love story, love drama. And like I said, the fact that it's directed by the guy that did Austin Powers and stuff, it's just fun. Like, there's a lot of funny gags in it. There's a lot of what the shit moments. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments. Just definitely worth watching. I'm a big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch regardless, so I just wanted to see it because he was in it. Doctor Strange all the way. But yeah, it's been Ghost in the Craig. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. Please go check out The Roses. It's absolutely hilarious. A little sad here and there, but fantastic.